Hey guys, Casper here. I'm the programmer for Reincarnation, and today I just wanted to show you some of what I've been working on over the last couple of months. As you might know, Chris has had a really hard time getting programmers to commit to this project, and that's probably because it's such a huge piece of work, and it's going to take a lot of planning and designing to make sure that this thing's going to get made. So for me, my plan from the outset was to first create a really powerful engine that enables me to put everything together really easily, but then also I wanted to create this visual tool which I call the TROAE editor, that basically lets me put together the scenes and everything that I need to put together in the game in a visual way, so it's just a lot easier. So today I'm just going to walk you through how to build a scene using the TROAE editor, and then in another video I'll just show you how to add triggers and items and dialogue to the game as well. So first of all, I'll just create a test scene just to demonstrate to you guys how it all works. So hit this plus button here to create a new scene, and so I'll just give it an ID test, name test, and now I've got an empty scene ready to add objects to. So there's no objects currently, but information about the objects will appear over here as I add them. And then also over here we've got the canvas, which is where I'll be able to see all the objects visually in the scene as I build everything. So hit the plus button next to objects to add an object. Set the ID of the object, and so I'll just create the background for the scene, name background, and select a resource. So the resource is basically the graphics that you want to use to render the object that you're creating. So I'll just select the background image, and then hit confirm. So now I've got the background in the scene, and I can really easily just drag it around and position it wherever I want. And also you might have noticed this point over here. This is 2 points. It's the menu point and the registration point. So the menu point is basically when you click on this object, the menu will appear around this point, which is not really important for this object because it's going to be scenery, so it won't be interactive. But also there's this red point is the registration point. So the registration point defines where the object will rotate or scale around, and also where the object will swap depths around. So if down here you see I've created this object now, so I've got a bunch of properties that relate to the object I've got selected. So I can change the position to whatever I want here, or I can drag it around to change it, which is a lot easier. Also I can change the rotation, so like I was saying, as I change the rotation, the object rotates around that point, that the registration point that's defined, but I don't want this object to be rotated, so I'll just leave it like that. But I like to have the registration point somewhere around the center and at the top for this object, because I want the background to be layered behind everything. So basically everything is layered such that if it's got the registration point at a higher value on the y-axis, then it will appear above objects with a lower value. So the background has a registration point right up the top so that it'll be behind everything. And then I'll add the foreground to the scene. And select the graphic for the foreground. In this scene the foreground's basically just shading. So I want the registration point for the foreground to be all the way down the bottom so that it's layered on top of everything. So I'll just move that to a nice point around there. Okay, and then I'll add something useful to the scene now, like the shelves, and select the graphic for that. So now I've got this shelves object. So you can see how that depth swapping is happening. The registration point's there for the background, so as I move the shelves up and as that registration point drops behind the background's registration point, it falls behind the background. So I want the shelves registration point to be at the top actually, because the shelves will have some objects inside and I want those objects to be layered on top of the shelves, so I'll put the registration point around there. But the menu point is important for the shelves because the shelves will be interactive, so I want the menu to open up around here when you click on the shelves. Also, I need to actually specify that the shelves are interactive by selecting the type of object. So there's different types here. You've got scenery, interactive, character, location, exit. Don't have to worry about most of those, except I'll make this one interactive. So when I click on it, the menu should pop up coming out of here. And then I'll add some items to the shelves. So the shelves have a few important items in them. They've got the chainsaw, and I'll select the chainsaw graphic. Alright, and then I'll just drag that chainsaw over there. So then I want the menu, I want the registration point around there. It's not too important, but it'll be laid above the shelves now. You see it drops behind as it goes above the registration point over there. But I just want it there, and I want the menu to open up around there when you click on the chainsaw, and I'll make it interactive. And then I'll add the worms to the shelves, which is this one. So the worms sit there in the shelves. So everything else in the shelves is useless except these two items. Sorry about the spoiler. And then what else has this scene got? This scene's got a crate in it. So I'll get the crate graphic to apply to the crate entity. Crate sits over here. So now the registration point for the crate is important. It needs to be around there because I want when Vile walks around this crate to be behind it when he's above this point, but to be in front of it when he's below this point. The crate isn't interactive, so I'll just make it scenery. Just to show you kind of a better demonstration of the depth swapping, I'll just add this lantern which sits on top of the crate, and I'll just move it around with the registration point at the base like the character has. So the character will have his registration point around his feet, so that when when he moves behind things, it looks more realistic. So as it goes around this way, see it moves behind and in front. So it gives the illusion of depth and 3D. But the lantern sits on top of the crate, so I need the lantern registration point to be actually below or lower on the y-axis than the crate's registration point. So I'll just shove it all the way down there. So it's definitely laid in front of the crate. And yeah, that's basically how to easily add and drag around and visually move objects and put them in the place in the scene. So I've basically already built this scene before, which is this one here. So this is the complete scene. And you can see I've added in all the objects, all of the registration points have been defined and everything. Then when you want to test the game, you can easily just click this test button up here. I'll just also show you, you can also really easily zoom in to get in really close to edit things, and you right click and drag to move the scene around so you can sort of more easily align things. So yeah, that's basically it. And then I'll just show you this scene in action. So I just hit the test button, and that will launch the game, and I'll be able to make Vile walk around this scene. So now the game's launching, and here it is. So you guys are getting a bit of a sneak peek of some of the menus here in the game as well. So you can hit settings here to just change the sound and stuff like that, and hit play game to come in to choose your save slot. So you can click to start a new game or play an existing one that you've already started before. You only get 3 slots, but I think that's all you're really going to need. And the game will auto-save as you play through the game, so you don't really have to worry about hitting save or anything like that as you play. And we're not going to do anything nasty like kill the character unexpectedly, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. So I've already played through on slot 1 to the scene that we built before. So now if I hit slot 1, we should load that scene. and here it is. So here's the scene that we built visually in the editor. And now we can make Bar walk around the scene and test it all out. So you might notice the scene looks pretty much the same, and that's because the rendering engine that's used in the game is the same rendering engine I'm using to display the scene in the editor. So that just makes it a lot easier for me to know exactly how it's going to be as I edit the scene and put everything together. So you can make Bar walk around, click on the different things that were made interactive in the editor, and the menu will open up around that point that's defined using the editor. So yeah, it's really easy to just visually put everything together and to know that everything's going to work the way you expect it to as you build it in the editor. You'll see here Bar's layered behind the crate, and then as I come around, he's layered in front of the crate. So yeah, that's it. That's the basics of how to build a scene in the editor, and then in the next video, if I get some time to put it together, I'll show you how to build and set up all the triggers in the scene. So when you click on stuff, make Bar walk to it, or to activate different things in the game. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you're looking forward to seeing the game get made as much as we are, and yeah, until next time.